I'm 91 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that took me 73 years to learn. Something that would have saved me decades of anger, bitterness, and wasted energy if someone had just grabbed me by the shoulders and forced me to listen. Nobody owes you anything. Not your parents, not your spouse, not your children, not your employer, not your government, not God himself. Nobody owes you a single damn thing. I know that sounds harsh. I know it probably makes you angry just hearing it. Good. That means you're exactly where I was for most of my life. Angry. Entitled. Waiting for the world to give me what I deserved. Let me tell you about the day everything changed. I was 73 years old. 73. Think about that. I wasted 7 decades being wrong about how life works. It was a Tuesday morning in March. I remember because it was my birthday, and I was sitting alone in my living room. My children hadn't called. My wife had passed 2 years earlier. I had a handful of friends left, but the phone sat silent on the table beside me. I stared at that phone for 3 hours. 3 hours of building resentment, feeling sorry for myself, constructing elaborate narratives about how ungrateful everyone was, how I'd sacrificed so much, how I deserved better. Then my neighbor, Frank, knocked on my door. Frank was 87 at the time, sharp as a tack, lived alone after his wife died nearly 15 years before. He came in without waiting for an invitation, sat down in the chair across from me, and said 6 words that changed everything. They don't owe you their time. I started to argue. Started listing all the things I'd done for my kids. The college tuition I'd paid, the down payments I'd helped with, the grandchildren I'd babysat, the advice I'd given, the sacrifices I'd made. Frank just sat there, waiting for me to finish. Then he leaned forward, and I'll never forget the look on his face. It wasn't mean. It wasn't even disappointed. It was just clear, like he was looking at something simple that I was making complicated. "Did you do those things because you expected payment?" he asked. "Or because you wanted to?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. "Because if you did them expecting something in return," Frank continued, "then they weren't gifts. They were loans. And you've been sitting here for 73 years collecting interest on loans nobody knew they'd taken out." That hit me like a punch to the chest. He stood up, patted my shoulder, and walked toward the door. Before he left, he turned back. "Your kids don't owe you phone calls. Your friends don't owe you their time. The world doesn't owe you happiness. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll actually be happy." The door closed. I sat there for another hour, but this time I wasn't staring at the phone. I was staring at my entire life, watching it rearrange itself in my mind. Every argument with my wife about appreciation. Every cold silence with my children about respect. Every friendship that had faded because I felt slighted. Every job I'd left feeling undervalued. Every church I'd quit because I wasn't recognized enough. All of it. All of it was based on one poisonous belief. I was owed something. Let me tell you about my father. His name was Robert, and he died at 68, bitter and alone. I was 45 when he passed, and I barely felt anything at his funeral. You want to know why? Because my father spent every day of my childhood reminding me how much I owed him. I put a roof over your head. I put food on this table. I gave up my dreams so you could have a life. He never said, "I'm glad you're my son." He never said, I did these things because I love you. Everything was a transaction. Everything had a price. And the interest kept compounding until the debt was so large I could never pay it back. So I stopped trying. I stopped calling. I stopped visiting. I let him die believing I was ungrateful. But I wasn't ungrateful. I was just exhausted from trying to pay off a debt that kept growing every time I made a payment. I swore I wouldn't be like him. But you know what? I became exactly like him. I just had better public relations. I framed my scorekeeping as caring about respect and value in family. I made myself the victim of everyone else's ingratitude instead of the debt collector that I actually was. My daughter Sarah stopped calling me regularly when she turned 32. We'd have these painful conversations where I'd ask why she was so distant, and she'd give vague answers about being busy. I'd hang up feeling hurt and misunderstood. After my conversation with Frank, I called her. Really called her, not just to extract my emotional payment. I called to apologize. Apologize for what? She asked, confused. For making you feel like you had to earn my love, I said. For keeping score. For making every visit feel like you were servicing a debt. There was silence on the phone. Long silence. Then she started crying. Dad, I thought you hated who I became, she said. I thought nothing I did was ever good enough. It wasn't about good enough, I told her. It was about owing. And you don't owe me anything. Not calls, not visits, not gratitude. I did what I did because you were my daughter, and I loved you. Period. That should have been enough. That conversation saved our relationship. She calls me twice a week now. Not because she owes me, because she wants to. And that makes all the difference in the world. Here's what I want you to understand. This isn't just about family. This is about everything. Your entire life is probably built on a faulty foundation of expectation. You think your employer owes you loyalty because you work hard. They don't. You're exchanging labor for money. That's it. Loyalty is something else entirely, and it's not part of the transaction. You think your friends owe you their time because you've been there for them. They don't. Friendship isn't a ledger. The moment you start counting who called whom last, you've already lost the friendship. You think the world owes you fairness because you're a good person. It doesn't. The world doesn't operate on a moral credit system. Bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to terrible people. That's not injustice. That's just existence. You think your spouse owes you affection because you provide for the household. They don't. Affection given out of obligation isn't affection. It's duty. And duty without desire is just slow-building resentment. You think life owes you happiness because you've suffered. It doesn't. Suffering doesn't earn you anything except the wisdom to avoid suffering again, if you're paying attention. I spent 50 years of my marriage keeping score with my wife, Margaret. Who did more housework? Who made more sacrifices? Who was more tired? Who deserved more appreciation? I had mental spreadsheets of every time I felt I'd given more than I received. She died without ever knowing how much I actually loved her, because I was too busy auditing our relationship to actually enjoy it. After she was gone, I found a journal she'd kept. In it, she wrote, I wonder if he would love me if I didn't cook dinner, if I didn't clean, if I didn't smile when he came home. I wonder if he loves me, or if he loves what I do. Reading that broke something in me, because the answer for most of our marriage was that I loved what she did. I loved the services rendered. I loved feeling like I was getting my money's worth in the marriage transaction. I never asked if she was happy. I asked if dinner was ready. I never asked what she dreamed about. I asked if she'd picked up my dry cleaning. I treated the love of my life like a service provider and then felt victimized when she seemed distant. Let me give you the hard truth that nobody wants to hear. You ready? The reason you're unhappy isn't because people aren't giving you what you're owed. It's because you think you're owed something in the first place. Entitlement is poison. It doesn't matter if your entitlement comes from real sacrifice. It doesn't matter if you genuinely did give more than you received. The moment you expect reciprocation, you've turned love into commerce. And commerce breeds resentment, always. Think about the last time you felt truly peaceful. I mean genuinely at peace, not just distracted from your anxiety. I'd bet money it was a moment when you weren't expecting anything from anyone. When you were just existing, experiencing, being. That's the secret. That's what took me 73 years to learn. Peace doesn't come from getting what you're owed. Peace comes from realizing you're owed nothing and then choosing to give anyway. So here's what you do. Right now, today, make a list of everyone you think owes you something. Your parents, your kids, your spouse, your employer, your friends, the universe itself. Write down what you think they owe you. Time, respect, gratitude, loyalty, success, fairness, whatever it is. Then burn that list. Actually burn it. Watch it turn to ash. Because that's what entitlement does to your life. It burns up your peace, your relationships, and your happiness, and leaves you with nothing but ash and bitterness. Then make a second list. Write down everything you want to give. Not because it'll be reciprocated, not because it's fair, not because you'll get credit, just because giving is who you want to be. Want to call your mother? Call her because you want to hear her voice, not because she's owed a phone call. Want to help a friend? Help them because you have the capacity to help, not because they've earned your assistance. Want to work hard at your job? Work hard because you take pride in your work, not because your employer owes you recognition. Want to love your spouse? Love them because love is a choice you make every day, not because they've checked enough boxes on your requirements list. This is what Frank taught me that day. Freedom isn't getting what you're owed. Freedom is releasing everyone from owing you anything. I'm 91 years old. I've got maybe a few years left if I'm lucky. And these last 18 years, since I learned this lesson, have been the best years of my life. Not because people suddenly started treating me better. Because I stopped requiring them to. My children call me because they want to, and that makes every conversation a gift instead of a payment. My friends spend time with me because they enjoy my company, and that makes every moment valuable instead of obligatory. I help my neighbors because I can, not because I'm building credit for future assistance. I have nothing, and I owe nothing, and nobody owes me anything. And for the first time in my life, I'm completely free. That's what I want for you. Not fairness, not recognition, not what you're owed. Freedom. The freedom that comes from releasing your grip on everyone's throat, from dropping the ledger, from canceling all debts, including the ones owed to you. You think you're protecting yourself by keeping score. You're not. You're building a prison and calling it justice. Let go. Stop counting. Stop expecting. Stop collecting. Just live. Just give. Just love. Not because anyone deserves it, because you're free to. That's it. That's the whole lesson. Took me 73 years. Don't waste that much time being wrong.